I mean, that's how she made me feel. How did I get this way? I'm stuck out here, all I see is you. I'm positive this is fake. I'm positive this is fake. Don't nobody say that. They're like, take your clothes off, get on the floor, get in the bed right now, let's get high. That's what they do. Bring your girl too. Right. When I try to keep my word.
You did. You
I love you. I love you to death. I love you to death.
I let you down, and you did not. You came through. I'm happy.
I never let you down, Mom. You're really good at this. I don't even lie. You're good at this. Like I see something in the future for you on another level.
I'll be my manager. I'm okay. Come on. You can't hear music? That's my jam. You, me. All right. We got here today Dave Tolliver. He came.
What up, though?
What's up? Welcome to Birthing Purpose with Lana. We got Dave Tolliver from Men at Large, R&B group, platinum selling, DJ, radio personality, entrepreneur. What else? Comedian. Give it to him. Give it to him.
Actor, all the whole, vocal coach, inspirational speaker, worship leader, whatever you want to call him, all of them.
He everything. He all that in the bag of chips, huh?
All that in the 10-piece ribs, lemon pepper, dry, no butter sauce.
All right, let's talk about how we met a little bit from our childhood.
You really want to put yourself out there like that, Lana?
Come on,
this is birth and purpose, not no.
We grew up
kids. Yeah, we were kids. We grew up in the same neighborhood, so to speak. I don't know at what point we met, but I know you were friends with my sister, with LaQuisha, and I don't know, and I don't remember how we hooked up, but
I know you can't remember because there's too much trauma that happened. We can't remember a whole lot of stuff.
Man, it's been like almost 40 years because I probably was my mom was still alive, so I was probably like 16, 17.
You were older, so
I'm 50.
13, 14.
I'm 50, so you ain't.
I was younger. Be quiet. Right. And telling my business, don't tell my government name, don't tell my business. Be quiet.
Good.
So I was younger, and so my fondest memories of you is going to 93 FM with you. That's when you were working at the station. Shout out to your uncle, Lynn Tolliver, legendary radio personality, right? Well known in Cleveland, 93 FM. And we would go there and we'd order pizza and you let us do shout outs. And that was great. Do you remember that?
I do. I get in trouble behind it sometimes too, but I ain't really care, man. I was a teenager, man. I was thrust into a world of, I guess you would call it somewhat of a celebrity lifestyle at like 15, 16 years old. So I think you probably started coming out, I was probably like, what, 18, 19 at the time. And
no,
it was, I had to be like 18. You don't know, 17?
No, you were younger than that.
You're just trying not to tell your age. That's why.
No, you were younger than that. No, we was all still in high school. You was in high school still.
Yeah, I started, I was 15, 1986. I started. That's when I started. I was 15. That summer in June was when I got the call, David, you need to come into the station and work. BJ got fired. And from that time, I worked from ZAK from 86 to 2000. From June of 86 to October of 2000, man. So it could have been any number of years. You know what I'm talking about?
I was, because we used to take you, Verdell, your sister, rest in peace, Verdell.
That was the alibi, taking Verdell. So if whoever was with Verdell, I could bring anybody. That was really, you know what I mean? So that was, otherwise I was getting in trouble because my friends didn't know how to act. Jason was getting me in trouble.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
just
Jason used to be down there too. Yep.
Jason, yeah, he used to always get me in trouble, man. That boy, if I could tell you some of the stuff he used to do, I ain't even gonna put him on blast. But Jason was a bad little boy. Real talk. He
Now
was bad.
let me. Now I got a confession to make. I don't remember you singing when we were younger. You know what I remember?
What?
You cracking. You was a cracker. You cracked on everybody. You was always cracking, talking about folks being silly, cracking. I never remember you singing, and all of a sudden it was like,
boom,
boom. I'm like, he sing? What? Where? What?
I mean,
what was up with that?
I have been singing since like 4 or 5 years old in my church, and then Jason and I used to sing everywhere we went. I think him and I started really trying to sing. I was like 13. He was, 10 or 11 years old, and we had put out a record before. Like I was 16, he was 13. We were called BBT, and we had that record called "Do the Beethoven." Some people remember, some people don't. And we had a flip side that was a little ballad, but I mean, we had nepotism because my uncle / dad was the radio guy, so and it actually did pretty well.
I would just say then you must have been very humble because
I'm still like that. You don't think so, but I'm still like that.
Don't start. Cause me and him, this my big brother, and me and him, we be like this.
No, that's because you like to put your teeth into it.
Right. Y'all, I had to literally pray before we started this interview. I'm like, Lord Jesus, bless this interview, because me and Dave, we'd be like with each other. But listen, but it was kind of like the same thing for me with like Bone Thugs and Harmony. Like, one of them used to hang out with me, the guy that I was dating. That was his friend. He used to always be in the back seat, smoking weed, talking about hook me up with one of your friends. I'm like, my friends don't smoke weed. Nobody.
Which one you talking about?
I'm gonna say. So and so then next thing you know, I'm like, what? Where your boy at? Oh, they got signed by Eazy-E. I'm like, he rap? I was sitting back and smoke weed. I ain't hear a rap and say a lyric, nothing. Right. So it was like the same with you. Like Dave used to be silly, goofy playing. You wasn't trying to show off and sing and show your stuff. No. But anyway, so
I start showing my stuff later.
So let's talk about you hot mess, y'all. No, so when we talk about birthing purpose and getting into what God has called you to do, we cannot talk about it without addressing labor pains. And you've done a lot of interviews, and so you've talked about the labor pains with like losing your mom right after you signed. And things like that. But what labor pains have you not said? Like, what is something that someone doesn't know about? You want to give it?
I mean, yeah, if I can think of it, I'm pretty transparent about everything.
Really?
Because I feel like, the things that ail you and how you deal with them a lot of times and how you come through them victorious is what you're supposed to brag about to people, because with your spiritual grounding and with if you seek clinical help or if you seek some type of help, those are the things that you're supposed to. I feel like you're supposed to shine. I don't shine in my accolades and stuff. I don't like in the new app we talk about all the time, Clubhouse. I don't go in there boasting of everything I do, and there's some things that I forget that I do, and they'll be like, "Why you don't?" Why I'm like, "Man, I'm not here for that. I'm here to listen, to learn, and then." And I don't know. I've had something in my life.
What do you think a major labor pain with just going into this industry that you've had to deal with? That was like, wow, this was a tough one.
I think not really us thinking that we were just top-notch sauce and not understanding the complexity and back then it was honor amongst thieves, no matter what type of situation or deal you were in, people honored the code. Like, us leaving Gerald was probably one of the biggest mistakes we had because, no matter what type of contracts we had, and I'm not saying they were, illegal or anything like that, because we could have, legally did, but I'm saying they were industry standard contracts that we thought we had the right counsel setting us up with what we should have did, and we ended up shorting ourselves instead of getting what we should have. But um, I just think we should have thought it through instead of just been like, we out, we out, we out. We should have thought it through, because we probably could have had, like, my career has been good for afterwards, but I'm just saying we probably could have had still at the top if we had just stayed. And that was something that his dad said to me at the funeral. He said, if they didn't care so much about the money, which is, now it's kind of hard to see when you see everybody rolling around in new joints, and we still rocking in the same whips for, 2.5 years, you know what I'm saying? Everybody get, but I mean, when you're the facilitator, then the spoils come to you first. And when you put somebody on, it's like giving somebody a loan, because that's in fact what a record deal is like. You giving them a loan, and then you got to pay it back. Plus they get commission on top of that, and then they even take more of that of your intellectual property, your sweat equity. They take that as a, well, okay, you got to pay me back. Plus I get this, and plus I get some of that. That's what those industry deals were. But I still would say, like, we had deals like Silk, Tony Braxton, TLC. We all had the same type of deals, production company deals, which, the production company gets the money first, and then they give you what they deem is adequate enough for you to. I remember our first record, we got what, $375 a piece in an advance, and then the second one, I think we got about $1,500 a piece, which in fact it should have been more, but because I'm not sure of those numbers, so don't quote me, but it wasn't what we should have or could have. But I mean, now guys don't get anything. You don't get nothing up front. So, but we should have stayed and thought it through and just went to the label and renegotiated our deal like everybody else did. But we just thought we were hot sauce. And, but if I tell you the story of how Jason and I don't think we fell out, but we just kind of separated, you'll understand, like, it was to birth purpose for something else. And that's what happened, especially for him.
For him, yeah. Right? Because he went on to be
especially for him
and travel.
But my theory about being of God or being in God or whatever you want to call it is not always necessarily being in the church or singing gospel or it's not.
It's more to it than that.
Yeah, it's way more to it. And the places you go, I mean, like Jesus hung out with the thugs and pimps, didn't he?
For a purpose.
Yeah, but I'm saying
what they did, but to be the light there.
Exactly. And not be afraid to stand for the right things in the midst of devilish doings.
But David, some people are not strong enough to be amongst that and take that stand. So for a season, they need to back up till they get strong enough to be able to go amongst the thieves and the wolves and take that stand. And you got to do what's best for you.
Yeah, well, but I mean, but if you're gonna walk the walk, you gotta walk the walk.
If you're an alcoholic and you're trying to be free, you don't go sit up at a bar.
No, you don't.
You're not strong enough for that.
Because you can't get nobody together unless you together.
And most people who first get saved, they're not totally together. They just trying. And so to each his own, right?
Hey, I don't judge nobody. Everybody's walking their own walk. You can't see your truth through my eyes.
Right.
You got to see your own truth.
What he felt he had to do at that time, and then you did what you needed to do, because the whole lot of things you birthed with that separation, and now you guys are coming back.
And believe it or not, I was in those fields. I've done like about 40 inspirational and gospel plays, and it's kind of like the same thing, without me having to hang out with Dietrich and Warren Campbell. I was pretty much doing the same thing, but I was with R&B dudes and
making money.
Man, I had
hang out with some hot people and not make no money.
Man, hallelujah.
So so for anybody trying to come into this industry, because what's interesting is a lot of the stories, like you said, TLC, Tony Braxton, Silk, whatever, you all have these same stories about not having the best contracts, but people hear these stories and yet they still come in the industry and they still get these same contracts. So what are they doing wrong? What would you recommend they do? What are the things that you and they have this, have that, that?
The reason they still do is because they only see the glory. They don't see the gory. They see the glory. They don't get a chance to see the gory until you end up on Unsung or they see you in handcuffs. My advice:
get a lawyer to read over everything. What's wrong with getting? Why are people not getting these people in place? Accountants, lawyers,
Well, back then the lawyers were all of them were part of the big consortium, the bureaucracy. They were all part of the whole entertainment, all part of
But now,
push
what about
that.
now? What about now?
Oh, now you definitely should get a lawyer. You know what I'm saying?
But
But
people are still
you
getting raggedy contracts even still now.
Yeah, they do, and that's those 360 deals. But you have to. I'll be honest with you. If a major brand was interested in me for a 360 deal, just because I'm the age that I am and I know my limitations and stuff like that, but because they feel like they could catapult me to a different stratosphere again because of what I have to offer in my arsenal. See, I got a lot to offer, but some talent buyers and label and corporations wouldn't look into it that way. But there is a market for everything that you're selling. And I might take the 360 deal because you got to figure if I don't have a platform, but there's this huge corporation that wants to put you out there and they have it, you got to just think about it. I mean, everything is 50-50. Or you can have your own money, your own following, and your own relationships and do it yourself. And it still might not work, or it could work. Everything is a 50-50. Today is you still should be lawyered up, you still should be teamed up, and not just people around you that are good for you, but are good for what you need to accomplish. They need to be knowledgeable. Like, well, I'm gonna tell you one of the biggest mistakes that I made, which hurts me still today. Here you go. Here's your dark. Is that I was always the smartest dude in the room. I was always the dude with the most money and the most things.
I was just talking
That was
about
the
that.
biggest mistake I've made in
Pastor
my
Vernon
life.
of Ohio always says that if you're the biggest thing in your circle, you're in the wrong circle. He
But
always,
because you have to be able to learn from other people, and if you can't learn from them, I mean, forgive me for being this, but I'm saying I can't spend time with you all the time because we're sitting there, we're being complacent, we're not being productive, and that's financially, physically, spiritually, mentally. It ain't just about the money because the money is garbage. Because money don't mean that you're rich. It's the other things that give you the the feeling of being rich. This right here,
mhm.
I know they say in the negative, but the head ain't right, then it ain't right.
Or
And
your heart,
yeah, but it
character.
starts here though, because if your mind is scrambled, you can't get your heart in order. If your mind is scrambled, you can't get pain out of you physically. If your mind is scrambled, you fall for anything. Like with this COVID stuff, it's like people are so in fear and panic, and they don't know what's going on. Hell, you could put yourself into a state of sickness because your mind is not sending the proper signals
So
off because it's altered.
let's talk about that because I wanted to ask you what adjustments have you made during this pandemic because you've had a lot of adjustments mentally, physically, financially, and you took in your nephew. You are the caregiver now for your nephew from your sister who passed away a year ago. Um,
Mm-hmm.
how have you stayed motivated and encouraged through all of this?
Well, uh, man, I have always been a motivator. That those were the people that were around me, and I grew up in a household where they told you deal with it, fix it, find a way to deal with it. There were no times for weak moments. And I learned the hard way that you have to take time for those weak moments. If
Mhm.
you don't make time for those weak moments, you will be sick. You will die, whether it's eternally death or you'll die a death where you just numb and just not productive and just dead on your feet. And number one, there's so many people that depend on me, and so many. This has just been all my life, even when I didn't know that they were dependent. Like my cousin told me one day, she was like, "It's your fault that the man issues." I said, "Sweetie, you got that all right." She was mad at me because I didn't beat up some dude one time that was whooping on her. I said, because I know the patterns, and I knew the patterns of our family. Either the women were abusive to the men, or they were in abusive situations. And if one of the cousins beat the dudes up, you back with them on Monday from Saturday. I said I was not going, and it was a little bitty dude, and I said I was not going to put myself in a situation where I'm gonna fight this dude. Man, I may have beat him up. He might have beat me up. But what happens after that?
Right.
What if you came back and killed me or done something to me, or a group of guys jumped me? Because I've been in that situation too, where guys tried to jump me, and by the grace of God, I got away.
Right.
And it was just because I was being transparent and clear, and I exposed somebody who was lying. Maybe that might not have been my place, but I got away. So
right.
I'm just saying.
So we talk a lot about therapy. I know you're a big advocate of that.
Man, I just got back in too, and
yeah.
it had been a couple years. Like I had got in there initially the first time a couple years, and I met this lady. She was a red carpet interviewer, but she was also a licensed therapist. And I was like, at that time, this was like 17. I was like, 2017. I was like, yo, I need to get in there because it was just so much happening. You know, I had an injury from a surgery that really tore me up, you know what I mean? And, you know, I had to stay strong because no matter my physical ailments, people were still depending on me regardless. It didn't make a difference. It don't matter.
Let's talk about that. Is that good for, because there's a thing called false responsibility and false burden where people, and sometimes you can be an enabler. And at some point people need to stand on their own.
Yep.
So some of that is our fault because we allow people to be that dependent on us where we need to draw the line and know those boundaries.
And that's what my therapist said. She said, you don't know how to say no. She said, and then she was like, your mom been dead for 28 years and you haven't grieved her yet. I didn't give myself a chance. And before I got married, you know, excuse my language, my wife, she called me Captain Saver. You know what I mean? And
shout out to your wife because she's been very encouraging too. Yes. Okay. Bring her over here now. Yes, she has. Like you
yeah, okay.
She was.
She went upstairs.
She has been. I mean,
let me be honest. She is. Yes. But they don't get this. They don't understand. None of them, my kids, nobody understand this part. And it turns to me being villainized because of this part. But anybody could fix or accommodate your physical stuff, like helping you do this or doing that or whatever, making you feel good, whatever it's supposed to be. But if you don't understand this part, that is, it's not going to click totally. You have to, and then that's when you have to start reaching into who are you with or who did you marry? And not that they're bad people, but
everybody can't be everything for you. That's first of all.
Right.
A lot of times
right. And but you have to
wanting that person to be their all and everything, and nobody can really do that for us.
And what happens is you have to understand who you're with. And that's something that you need to do from the interim. And this is something that, you know, sometimes you don't figure out until you get into those moments and find out that they weren't educated enough on how to deal with this because of their predecessors, their moms, their dads, or whoever it is that reared them. And that's the case. So you in it now. So you have to figure out how to help yourself.
It's all about education. It's all about getting educated. If you know you're dealing with somebody who has this issue or needs this kind of help and you don't know, go find out. Go get educated. Go learn so that you can be able to better accommodate one another. That's what it's about. Let's talk about your upcoming projects.
Okay.
I got a suggestion.
Nah.
Don't say, you know what? Let me read some to you before I make this suggestion. Let me run these statistics about, because since we're talking about mental health therapy and things like that, let me just give you these statistics I was reading this morning about celebrities or everybody.
Oh, they the biggest ones that need mental.
Okay, so depression affects over 18 million adults in a given year. It is the leading cause of disability for ages 15 to 44. Is the primary reason why someone dies of suicide about every 12 minutes. Over 41,000 people a year die of suicide.
Wow.
It causes 490 million disability days from work each year. It accounts for $23 billion in the last work days each year. It takes an economic toll of $100 billion each year from businesses. Like depression is like major. So when I was in the interview the other day with you and
Mhm.
Eric. You talked about you getting ready to do your talk show. You ready to bring it back and all this kind of stuff.
Mhm.
I think that it should be something like Blue Table Talk. Like, Jada Pickett's Red Table Talk, Blue, but it should focus a lot around mental health.
Okay.
I do. I think that we need to get, because like you said, a lot of people out here are hurting, they're struggling. I think that it should be a lot of that going on. Some real substance stuff. And I think I should be with you.
That part I don't agree with. But the first part, you
No,
have to forgive me.
you need to have me come on in there and bring the spiritual piece to it. We'll talk. Stop eating.
I'm hungry, man. I ain't eating nothing this morning. I went to go sing at church. I had to stop at the store for my daughter. Come home, my stomach was doing backflips. Then I had to get to you.
I know, you text me like, I'm gotta go to the toilet.
Yeah, man, I'm gone.
So let's talk about some more projects besides you bringing back the Dave Tolliver.
Oh, but I'm bringing that back. And what I've decided to do is my first one, and Eric Patrick Thomas, he really inspired me to bring it back because I got boring with it. Mm-hmm. But what I'm going to do, I put a thing about it, they call it pop-up talent. You won't get no warning, no advertisement. I'm just going to put it up whenever I feel like doing it, because then I'm not held to a schedule like that. You know what I mean? Go Browns. Nick Chubb just scored. But and I'm gonna say my second guest, because EP started off. My second guest is a young woman named Key. Her Instagram is I am just Key. I don't know if it's Keisha said, but her story is she was died. I don't know if it was depression or whatever, but she had sleep apnea. She couldn't sleep, so they prescribed her Ambien. The Ambien caused her to sleepwalk.
Wow.
Look, you waiting for it, ain't you? I see. So what happened was she went downstairs, and while she was sleepwalking, she tried to cook, spilled grease all over her head, body, everywhere. She was, I mean, she was, this is what her words. She said she looked like Freddy Krueger. And the doctor said that she would never, ever look the same again. Something happened where her grandmother had some type of dream, and God told her to put together these ingredients and take it to her at the hospital and start putting it on her skin every day. Mm. The girl said when her grandmother came in there with the stuff, I'm not sure if I'm telling the story, when she came in there with the stuff, she said she felt like she was floating. And if you see a picture of what she looks like now, as opposed to what she did, her whole body, she has surgeries, grafts, and they said she would, I mean, from her hair to everything, she looks, man, she fine as a mug, real. She is, man, and that is that. So I want to, like, I'm with you. So you in my head, you in my spirit. Inspirational stories is what I want to do, because so with those, you don't have to sell them. You really don't have to promote them. No. They sell themselves. Inspirational stories, and that's what I really want to focus on, because there's a lot of people. I like right now, we're not gonna see normalcy for a while, if we ever get back to being normal. This world, and I'm gonna say America, United States, is probably the root of all the evil of what's going on, because we're so sinister here and just so arrogant and so in the need of control and gratification from the masses here. That and that's not just white, it's black, it's everybody. Mm-hmm. We're spoiled with the graces of life over here, and I don't think I'm never gonna stop wearing a mask ever. I'm just not. Even when we start going back travel, I'm just never not. And you wonder when you go in the airport, like before we started, I used to see like the Arabs. They always had the mask, and it wasn't just the 3/4 for cloth because they were Muslim, but they had the mask on. I'm like, Michael Jackson always had the mask on. It wasn't because of his skin, because he don't care. Maybe he did, but he always had the mask on. But it's a lot of people. You would see some celebrities out when they travel with the mask on. Like this is something that has been brewing and coming for a long time, man. And I don't know, man. I just don't think that we ever gonna get back to being normal again. It's always gonna be something. I was telling my pastor today, I said, this was all part of a plan to take away people's spiritual grounding, because if you don't have any center, then you can be swayed and pushed and pulled, and it keeps you in fear and panic forever. So they killing the churches. They're killing them. You know, the only people I see still going strong and packed out is I see the Nation of Islam, the Jewish, they stay packed. You know, I don't know, but they killing the churches. The churches are being ravished. Mm-hmm. So you know, I don't know, man.
So you got the talk show coming up, which is good. I love that idea. Great. I know you're doing a reunion album with Jason. Mm-hmm. Want to talk a little bit about that? And what else?
We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. you said I've been Hollywood and you. I'm here. You got me. You pick it. Spin the wheel.
Wait a minute. You not really.
Yeah, I remember. I just figured out who you were the other day. So, I mean, not figure out who you were personally as a person, but why you do the things you do with me. And I get it because I do the same thing with other people. But I just didn't know that you felt the way you felt about me. I didn't. So now I get it. So now I ain't gonna be like, shut up, real quick, I can do for you or stuff like that. I know why you do it because you know, it's like sometimes like I was saying with my one guy, Chip. You know, we still do the same stuff we've been doing since we were like 21. He's a few years younger than me, but we still do the same thing. And people be like, y'all care about each other? I'm like, yeah, we do. That's my best friend on the planet. Yeah, I do. So, you know, I understand. Yeah. You love me. It's cool.
So the album, we want to talk a little bit about you reuniting with Jason. I'm excited. Does it have a title? Can you share the title? What can you share?
I can share everything. Right now, with 9 songs in, things kind of slowed down a little bit because I wasn't spending no more money. I spent a lot of money going back and forth up there. You know, at first it was good to go because I had to check on my nieces and my other nephews too. But you know, now it's the end of the year. It was Christmas and all that. I was like, and ain't no telling when the next one.
Right.
So I was like, man, y'all got to come down here. It's 2 of y'all and 1 of me. You know, every time I went, I had to get a hotel, rental car, gas.
You didn't really have to get a hotel.
I didn't know. Don't start that. I didn't know. So now I know. I'm gonna be coming to your house tearing up the toilets. You already know.
Oh no.
In the master bedroom.
No. The basement or the second floor one. Nah. There's 4 toilets. You only get 2.
Master. I'm in the master. I'm taking the master suite and the master bath.
No.
So, but this album, we don't tentatively have a title. We've been throwing around a couple things. I was like, we should call it Dave and Jason because I was with another guy for about 20 something years. Or we was going to call it 713 because once again, the spirit comes in. He said, I think it was God that brought us back. It was supposed to be. So the first day we got together was 713 this year to start recording. That was Gerald's birthday. The last time we had a show together was 713 some years back.
Wow.
So when we finished recording, he started talking about, God this, God that, God this, God that. I just, when he get on your show, he like, well, that God has this and that, he gonna go in his pastor voice. And he was doing that then.
Who is
and
he?
Then, Jason, yeah.
Jason, yeah.
And so at the end, the engineer, who's a white guy, he said, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the track that's sent over, the producers titled their tracks. He said the title of this track is 713. I was like, wow. So, but we've been tossing those titles around, and but that it's an amazing album. Me personally, I went in there and just took total direction from Jason's brother, Jay Sean Champion, who is a champion songwriter. He's probably been on over 30 million records. I don't know. I think he said 10, but it's probably more than that. He's written for Joe, R. Kelly, Usher, Charlie Wilson, G Unit, a bunch of people. And we wanted to, a lot of groups from the past, they come back and then they're stuck in the time warp. And for me, I had him give me about 80% of every line I sung in there because I wanted to still be very relevant to our demographic, but also be appealing to the Gen Zers, you know what I mean? So, and I think we accomplished that, man. We worked with some great producers out of Cleveland and some other places. And it's just we taking it back to love. It's that dinner date in the movie, dinner date and make love, passionate love type music, you know. And we've had songs about the birds and the bees and stuff like that. And I think that might have been a hit against us too back then, because everybody was real hard sexing in their records, and we just didn't. But you know, it was good. That was for just birds and the bees. That was let's talk about it. I want to roll, and I think that was a plus, but it was also a detractor too, as far as like where we went. But you know, this record here, we taking it back to love. We got a song called She Gravity. I mean, you know, that's how she make me feel. How did I get this way? I'm stuck out here. All I see is you. I'm positive this is fate. You know, I'm positive this is fate. Don't nobody say that. They like, take your clothes off, get on the floor, get in the bed right now. Let's get high. That's what they do. You know, bring your girl too. Right. Me and my man want to hit it together. Come on. That's what they do. And like I never understood that, you know, even though guys were into that back in the day, but I would never put that in the song. Like, and I hear Kat say a lot of stuff like, well, your man ain't got to know. So you really comfortable with her going home, sleeping with him, and then coming to sleep with you like that same night or the next morning or night even? Residue. I'm crazy like that. I think like that. I'm saying, especially if you're in a relationship with someone, why would you want to share that?
People do. They don't care. They don't value it.
I mean,
it's up here. It's you're not gonna be able to understand, because sometimes you can't always understand crazy.
But even in my younger days, I still was cognizant of, I don't really want to share. And then even though you in cities and you doing stuff, it's like I was an investigative dude. I'm sitting down, and if she was lying, then I didn't know. But I mean, I was like, see, I told you I'd be good. See. I told you I'd be good. It's different when we talking on the phone.
It's good. And we prayed before we
I'm interviewing. It's totally different. You figure I've been in entertainment almost 40 years. I've been here since 1986. So I'm saying I was here the 80s, the 90s, the 2010s.
And you're on radio, so you know how to censor things.
Yeah, 80s, look, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010s, 2020s. My career has stretched 5 decades. That's crazy, ain't it? And I ain't even, but that's I heard that on about Vince Carter. They was like he been in the league since for like a 40-year, you know what I'm saying, like the 90s, 2000, 2010s, 2020s. Even though he only been in there 20 something years, but his career span, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a blessing, man. I'm honored and I'm grateful. Huh?
So now you trying your hand at comedy.
Boy, you do your work. You know you're pretty good. I'm gonna be honest with you. You are good at this. Like you're really good at this. Seriously, you're really good at this. Honestly, you are good at this.
I saw you doing a roast, and now you know I don't like roast. But
that and they was trying to get me and they couldn't. My wife was like, "Would you shut up?" Because they wasn't funny. Like if I'm giving you, like normally, like you said, I used to roast and crack jokes. Like if I'm giving you a platform to tear me apart.
It was stale stuff. It was like nothing like special. Like, okay, I already heard that. Okay, a fat joke. Okay, whatever.
And I did like the comedian Pierre. If you watch Babs, How to Be a Player, the light-skinned pretty dude in those movies, he had a thing, and I think my boy set me up. He had a thing called F Your Feelings. And so it was like, you know how they have battle rap where you go up against each other cracking jokes. I went and I made it to the second round. And the only way that the girl beat me the second round was, and then he asked me right before I was about to start, he said, and he looked all suspicious when he said, "Hey Dave, can you come up, man? I don't have enough comedians. Can you help me?" I was like, all right, cool. So I swallowed it and I went up there and
I watched that.
The first round I killed him, but you know, like the second round, right? Yeah, like all the cussing, you know, right? And then the second round, I think she got me with it was even the first round, but the second round, I think when she went, she kind of just got me with the funny shape this, and then she was like, your cane is stronger than your comedy, and everybody went up in the room, and I'm like, all right, whatever. It's just really, I don't really like being that. I like being vulgar, but I don't like being that vulgar. And you know, when when you're doing battle rap or you're doing those stuff like that, it's like, it's no rules. It's like like I went to a battle rap one time because I love hip hop, and I went to the battle raps. And so when you find out who you're battling, you study them. the I heard this dude's kid had got killed in a car wreck. Now you know you have to walk. You gotta. He told him. He said something about Father's Day. Something you ain't put your kid in the seatbelt. Everybody in the room was like, "Oh," and you could see it in the guy's face.
That's too much.
But here, when you step into those arenas, there's nothing off limits. You could talk about my mama, and if her breast sags to her ankles, man. I said, nah, I couldn't have done that.
They didn't fight because that might have been.
I would have. Hey, man, I couldn't have done that. Like
later. I'd have repent later. I'm about to tear this up, and I'm gonna have to get back with you. I'm gonna repent.
Yeah, I mean, but there are no holds barred with it. There are no holds barred in those arenas, and like if you're in entertainment, period, you have to be cognizant that this game, and that's another thing you asked me what I tell people, this game here is not for the sensitive, it's not for the weak. You have to eat, sleep, boo-boo this whole thing, but you have to be able to take what they give you. You have to be cool with what they're going to take from you. And you have to understand that when they use you up and they feel like you have no more value, you're done. So you have to figure out something else. So
you got to know that you have a value in so many areas of your life and find.
I'll be honest. I'll be honest with you, right? Some people think we are great, and some people think we can't put a button to seat. Really, and that's what I've done. But I have.
But no matter what you do in life, everybody's not going to like it. It's not for everybody.
Exactly.
You have your audience, and that's it.
But what I'm saying is, you ask me how I keep going. It's because I'm looking at my kids and my wife and my family and everybody, and I refuse to be defeated. I refuse for people to tell me no. I refuse to be defeated. Even at first I had a little, I was like, well, man, it's going, they wouldn't book me at first after I had my surgery. I was on crutches for 2.5 years. Like I would get little gigs here and there. I was like, oh Lord. But then when it hit like a year and a half later, it just boom, everything just started going back to normal. And then this year,
I gotta give us some downtime now.
Yeah, and I've been through that a couple times where he had to show me what was what. That's how I ended up getting married. Because I honestly, I didn't. I had been through, honestly, just keeping it one. I had been through so many DNA tests, and I found out that I had what was like 4. Not that's too many. You know what I'm saying? And I just felt like I was like I must be sterile, or it's just not in the cards for me to have kids. But so I was raising my nieces and nephews like they were mine, and oh man, I can't believe I lost what I was getting ready to say. What was it? Oh, I'm getting old. You did because we going back and forth over so much stuff. I lost it for a minute.
Why you got married? The reason why you got
married? Yeah, because I didn't think I was gonna get married. You know what I'm saying? And I ended up going to the Virgin Islands for like a year to do radio down there, and I was alone. And I'm like, this ain't happening. I said I got to go home. I started having spiritual awakenings. I said I got to go home, and when I came home, I kind of just fell right into it. Like I didn't think I was ever getting married. And I was anxious. I figured. When I realized it, I said, man, you got relationship anxiety, and it was because of my mom. And I was, and it was like so many women. Like I was a cool guy. I was a good guy. I never was like really a disrespectful dude or mean or rotten and nasty or abusive to women. But and you could tell after you get married, they all came to the wedding. A lot of them came to the wedding. They, and man, if I was single and Facebook and all that stuff was going on now, but I lost my train of thought again. Good grief from Zion.
You got it.
Anyway, maybe that wasn't supposed to be said, but anyway, I didn't think I was gonna. I came home, I fell into it, ended up getting married, and then boom, here we are. He put me in a position where you have to look at yourself. He'll make you alone, even though you at the top. I was down there. I could have been the next Steve Harvey of the islands.
Yeah.
But I left to come back home because my grandmother her health was declining. She ended up living another 7 years after that. I think she just wanted me to come home, and I had to see myself, and I did, and I went down that road in like a year and a half after I came back. I was married.
All right.
See my face. I was married.
Because then you'll be like, I was single. Everybody got to problem with everything. Humans, we're just so
nobody ever satisfied with nothing.
right. Exactly. It's like no matter what state you're in, it's always some issue, right?
Cats are spoiled.
Right. Yeah.
It's because we have so much over here. Even when you have so little, you still have a lot compared to most, and you get comfortable. Then every generation feels like they want to make their children's lives or lives better than what they had. When you look back on it, it wasn't so bad.
But
When
you
we
know
were
what?
coming up.
You need to stay in contact with Eric because I like what he told you. He said, I cannot move from the neck down. Are you serious?
Yeah, I know.
We take so much for granted. So anytime you feel bad, you need to call. That's your other brother. Call him.
That's my man.
He will pep talk you. You'll be like, I bet you should be ashamed of yourself. Get up and do what it is you have to do. Be grateful. And no, you do. And be great. Well, you're going to use those two. You're going to use your laptop and your cell phone. What he tell you? You don't want to use the laptop and the cell phone to do the streaming. He was like, and I do it, and I don't even have.
I'm back.
You back?
I just see. I have been doing it. I have been doing that stuff before COVID.
Yeah, but I think it's part of my different now. Your theme is gonna be different. It's gonna be so much inspirational. And doing these shows, you learn, you grow, you heal. It's really good.
And you see, and a lot of times when you talk to people that have been through so much, you see you see you and like the stuff that you see like what you should be doing. Like you don't have an excuse not to be blah, 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 whatever it is about you that you need to be doing. Real talk.
Yeah. I'm so glad you took time out your busy day, especially that the game is on.
Yeah, I'm missing the whole half.
At 1 o'clock. I thank you that you sacrificed your game.
When I try to keep my word.
You did. You
I love for you. I love you to death.
I love you to death. I'm gonna let you down, and you did not. You came through. I'm happy.
I ain't gonna let you down, Mom. You were really good at this. I ain't gonna even lie. You're good at this. Like I see something in the future for you on another level.
You'll be my manager.
I can consult you, but I don't want to say manager. It's too much responsibility for management. But anything that I can connect you, plug you with, guests, whatever I can do for you, I got you. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, man.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad that we reconnected. I'm rooting for you. I told you I'm your, I got you. You need anybody to talk to? I'm here. You come in town. You got a guest room. The guest room.
Well, I'll tell you, my cash app is, I could use that.
I blessed you for your birthday. And you know what? You was like,
you sure did.
Everybody blessed me for my birthday.
Hey, I was so happy about my birthday. Was dope, man. That's crazy, because a lot of people think I got a bunch of money, and it's not like that anymore, And I mean, cats really, they showed up and showed off for my birthday. I was really, really happy, But I'm doing this year. If we able to be out and about, I'm doing the 50-51 because I felt like, I know.
Invite me.
Yeah, 50-51. I mean, my plan this year was to do Atlanta and Cleveland because I have a base here and there, and there's no place like home, man. I really miss home all the time. It's so different than what it used to be, but people are still doing the same thing. And it's like I said, when you're the wealthiest person in the room, the smartest person in the room, it kind of doesn't benefit you. And then, you kind of want to, I don't know, you get home and because I've been away so long, when I come home, I want to be around people I identify. You don't want to kind of like start letting other people in you. I mean, but I
know, I get it.
I don't meet a stranger. I don't. I pride myself in not meeting strangers, and I try to, my goal for the rest of my years, hopefully God will have me here till I'm about 90 in my right mind.
Now I want to do 120. You only going for 90?
If I'm in my right mind, I don't ever want to go. If I can walk and I'm still in my right mind and I ain't walking around here with no diapers on, I don't ever want to go. You know what I'm talking about? I don't never want to leave, I don't care what they say about afterwards. I love it here. I do. I want to see my great grandkids if I can.
Right.
I'm gonna be a normal age grandfather. I'm 50 now. Like my grandmothers were 50. My other grandmother was probably thinking her 40s though. But yeah. 30s. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
man. Thank you for having me.
And go enjoy the game.
Love you, mama.
I'll see you in Clubhouse.
No doubt.
Love you.
I love you too. Later.